Thank you. All right, can everybody hear me just fine? Good. As you said, my name is Jill Gibson Blythe. I am the owner of Softech Solutions. We've been in fruition, I guess live for the last 9 years, but I have been in database and design and analysis, and I'll stop at 25 years. I started when I was 5. So, thank you. I like him. My company now, we are headquartered in Apple Valley, Minnesota, but I do have offices around the US, and my staff now is up to 7 consultants, and I just brought on a full-time project manager. So there is definitely a need for people to have help with how they track their data and what they're going to do with it. The main areas that Softech Solutions focuses on are business process engineering. We like to help you understand how you do business. Because if you don't understand how you do business, how can you apply applications to track or help you do anything if you don't have a solid foundation on your company behaviors? Once we understand how you do business, we then look at your applications that you can integrate so that you have a nice process flow of data so that you're not moving and jumping between applications and potentially dropping or erroring information when you're going in between them. And last but not least, we also like to show you data analysis, tracking client behaviors. You know, how did they come in to your company? Are they still a prospect? How fast are you turning them to customers? It helps you understand how to do business better and stronger and faster. So today, this presentation, I'm hoping you'll learn some things and think conceptually bigger on how you want to track and manage your data in your company. So now you've heard from Mike, Dave, and Larry, and you worked really hard. You've got lots of exposure. Lots of people are now coming to you. Imagine if you had this volume. How would you stay on top of their needs? Imagine having so many leads coming in, you can't even keep your phone off, on the cradle.
Have a breakdown.
You'd have a breakdown. I like him. He feeds into the topic points. No, it's very, very true. I know a lot of people that start with a good idea. A lot of the customers that I've been working with over the years start with a great idea. The problem is they don't plan for growth and expansion. They don't have process in place to go, okay, when I hit this point, this will happen. They just keep thinking, oh, I'll just keep going along with what I'm doing. I usually get that call when there's that really major pain point and truly leads are rolling out the door. That's hard to deal with because you've worked so hard to get where you're at, and now you're actually losing business because you don't have the structure or process in place to follow up properly. Do you all, show of hands, how many of you have sat down and wrote out the process for following up with a prospect that you've met at an event? I see about 6 hands. Good. You know, believe it or not, that sounds like a silly exercise, but I really would ask you to start thinking about how do you want to do business? How do you consistently follow up with somebody? How do you turn that prospect to a customer? What is your process? How many touch points do you have? Is it direct marketing? Is it newspaper? Is it web? I mean, again, you have to think about how many times do you want to reach out and touch that prospect to turn them into a customer? Are you being effective? Again, you have to know how many times you're doing this and how you're doing it. Just like I'm saying, where did it come from? Did it come from direct marketing? Did it come from newspaper ads? Did it come from your web? One thing that I find really interesting, and we'll go into a little bit deeper, is people don't usually put a lot of stock into events, your meeting, networking. Also, existing customers referring you, the referral rate. We'll talk about that. I love this. I like this graphic because I actually created it. So I was bored one day and decided I wanted to have a good image representation of how does this feel. You're literally having leads falling from the sky because you've done so much work to put yourself out there, to be community branding, to be available so that now people know that Softech Solutions is on the map. You literally now have leads coming and raining down on you. Can you qualify them? Do you know, are they hot? Are they lukewarm? How big are they? What's the time sensitivity of it? Are you now understanding that information? You've got them all coming in, but how are you tracking it? Also, are they starting to evaporate or fade away because you're not getting to them fast enough? That's almost the part that makes me cry the most, is when I cannot pick up the phone or get back to that person fast enough to help them with their needs. We've already heard a lot about website, the mobile marketing, newspaper marketing, direct mail. They're all extremely important. To me, none of them are the silver bullet. They all work fantastically together. So I would honestly keep your mind open on how they all will blend or talk to each other or support each other to be even stronger. But again, back to what I was saying is networking and existing customers referring you. I like people to keep thinking about that because that's where I like to track my ROI. Because Softech Solutions, believe it or not, I do a lot of public speaking. In fact, well, Pat, I haven't done public speaking probably in the last 2 years because I've become so busy. All of my clients, all of my new business is all referral. Think about that. I don't do direct mail because of what I do. It's a tougher piece to sell in a direct mail. I think it's great for plumbers and restaurants and people that have, how do I explain it, more of a widget or something that's tangible. What I do is more conceptual, more business intelligence. It's harder to conceptualize that on a postcard. I'm not saying I can't, I just have not had that help or that direction. Networking is huge. We're all sitting here in a room because we're trying to learn. We're wanting to hear from each other to figure out how best can we grow our companies and how can we help each other. Referrals from existing customers. I'm sure you've always heard the adage, it only takes 25% of the energy to keep an existing customer versus the 100% of gaining a new one. So why do we all run out trying to fill the pipeline with new customers when we have the biggest asset to our company, which is our existing customer base? You've already got the relationship, they already trust you, they already believe in what you do, so they are going to evangelize for you and help you gain more customers if you position that properly. Ask for referrals from your existing customer base. You'd be surprised at how fast they will turn around and do it for you. About 7 years ago, I thought it was a big deal to ask this, but I asked a couple of my customers, would you mind writing a testimonial that I could put on my website? I had 100% acceptance. Not one turned me down. That's to me, that's a nice feather in my cap. I must be doing something right, I should say. Now, your data, again, it's all about your data. This is one of, if not the most valuable piece of your company, is the data you have on your customers. How many of you, I love asking this because people I think don't always tell me the truth, but how many of you use Excel to track leads that come in for your company? Raise a hand. Okay, good. I see that a lot. How many of you use Outlook to keep track? How many of you use Post-it notes? You laugh. I actually came into a company, and this was almost, I would say, a $750,000 company. They were looking for a system. The owner decided to invite me into his office. He said, I really need a system. And I thought, okay, he goes, I don't have one. And I thought, well, you're a very profitable company. Of course, you must have some type of process, right? He brought me into his office, shut the door, and I'm not joking. He had a whiteboard that had black lines drawn on it with permanent marker, and he had Post-its that he was moving through the process on the board. Nothing was computerized. It was all little Post-its moving along the board. And if they wanted to find out where a project was, they had to come into the owner's office to figure out where the project was and at what stage, because they had to find the Post-it. Y'all smiling, this is dead silence. I am not making this up. This was a fantastic experience. We did get him centralized. What he didn't realize is because of the time of people having to jump up from their desk and run into his office to look at this board, calls were being missed. Versus centralizing or having a shared network of a central database that people can just log in and put in their information, have the emails tracked that have gone out to customers. You could just log in and see where the project is or the status of the customer is just by your keyboard. That is extremely efficient and very, very helpful that way. The other thing is, I love the fact we're talking about mobile. Having your data at your fingertips is beyond huge nowadays, especially with texting and other things that we can do. I can't tell you how important it is for me to have my phone automatically update with my consultants when they're talking about projects and I can see their schedules. It actually goes to my phone and it pushes so that my phone is constantly beeping or tweeting as new appointments are landing. And I have them coded. Yes, I'm kind of anal retentive, but What I like about that is I always have a pulse as to what's happening every day with what's going on with my company. That's huge, and I'm not even in the office half the time. The other thing is also when clients call up, I love the caller ID. With my database blended directly into my phone, I know that John Doe is on the phone, and if I have the time to talk, because we all know we have our customers that love to chat, sometimes you have to weigh the fact that they may not have enough time. I have one client right now, it's a minimum of an hour. If I answer that phone, I'm on the phone for an hour with that person. I smile because they pay their bills, so I'm going to be on that phone for an hour with them. Remote access, that's the other thing, is we're moving so much into the web environment of online access. I travel, and I don't always have internet available. Yes, there's Go Flight and all that business. But what I like is I can be offline with my laptop, make updates onto my client records, send out my emails. They sit on the outbox waiting to find internet connection. But what I love is I'm uninterrupted. I call myself the data princess because I hate not having my data at my fingertips at all times, because this is what I do for a living. And if I feel impeded, I'm crabby. So again, offline access, having your data there so you're not dependent on what's going on as far as the internet connectivity. Remote access so that you can dial in and get to that information immediately so that you have the client's file at your fingertips, so you don't have to wait to go back to the office. Like for instance, this is a good example, a case study. Let's say a client calls in from an ad, there's a call to action, and they talk to you. Let's call him Joe Customer. Joe Customer calls in. Now you talk to him about the call to action, the promotion or whatever it was that he's responded to from the various points that are coming in. You find out that this could be a really big deal, a good project for you. So you decide that instead of just the promotional rate, you're going to add something special or extra. Now, that's great. Joe Customer's excited. He wants to come in, sign a contract, but today was not a good day. You realize that he's going to be in 2 days, and so you're like, fine, we're good to go. You enter all the information into the system. The problem is, you're out the next day. He calls in and says, oh, I really need to go over the offer that I responded to yesterday. The problem is two things could be happening. One, if you don't have a centralized system, how would your staff know you talked to him? So now your customer service pretty much tanks because now he becomes devalued. We don't know who he is. Or two, they offer the standard pricing for the promotion and you don't get the special offer. Both ways you don't look very good in your new customer's eyes. You don't look professional and seamless. So like I said, here's Joe Customer. Love Joe Customer. Again, with that scenario, think about that. How can you offer best customer service if you don't have your data up to date, always available, with your staff tied in, etc., so that you can offer that higher level of customer service to keep your existing customers and also answer questions consistently with your prospects that are calling in. So again, categorizing them into groups. We've been talking about the relationship, whether they're a prospect, a new client, recurring client, that's great. What about what type of client are they? Are they in the automotive industry? Are they in entertainment? Wouldn't it help that if you start doing your marketing, just like Larry was saying, your existing database is very important. Why not start mining it and starting to find common factors among your clients and prospects and do target marketing by email, direct mail pieces, etc. You're going to get a higher response rate and you're not going to spend as much money. Because again, this is already people that are working with you and you're upselling, you're talking to them about other services your company offers. So the question I have to the group here is, if we're talking about behavior, can all of you, I'll tell you a cute story, but first of all, can all of you in your system pull up all of your prospects within 3 seconds? I saw a couple faces here. Oh, I saw a hand go up. Good, good. I'm glad to see that. The reason I'm asking is, what about the last time you contacted or touched that customer? Can you tell me when? Can you tell me, I love this woman in the back, she's nodding. I'm like, I gotta know what she's using because this is good. Can you tell them how you contacted them? Was it email, was it phone, was it at a networking event? Are you knowing how you reached out to them? Can you also tell me what was said or the transaction that occurred at that last meeting? She's making me smile. I'm going to talk to her later. I'm trying to give you some things to think about. This is the story. This happened about 3 years ago, and this is the one I just love. A very high profile business in the area, very big company, told me that he didn't need a contact management system. He uses Outlook. I'm like, fine. I'm cool with that. I get it. At the time, after I did the analysis, I wanted to position a software called ACT, A-C-T, because it's very customizable, very flexible, handles lots of data, and it's got a great price point, entry point to use the software. So anyways, I'm talking to this CEO, and he goes, no, Outlook's fine. It's good enough. And so I started testing him like this. I said, show me all your prospects. And he looked at me funny. He said, well, just pull them up in Outlook. Go ahead, pull up your prospects. And he goes, well, I need to go through that. Just let me know. Give me a few minutes. And I said, all right, how long do you think you'll need? He goes, maybe 10 or 15. I said, you really need to be able to pull that up within a minute for this to work. And he goes, all right. So he worked really hard, and he did it in about 5 or 6 minutes. I said, all right, now you've got your prospects. I said, so when was the last time you talked to them? And he goes, well, I can tell you when I sent emails. I said, no, when did you talk to them last? When did you leave a message? And he says, well, I need to look at my notes. And I said, all right, how are you going to do that? And he says, well, I'll run a report. And I said, how long will it take you to do that? And he goes, maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. And I said, all right, go ahead and print the report. And he ran this out of Outlook. And I said, can you also tell me then what was said on the phone? He finally went like this, and he hung his head, and he went, uncle, and he gave up. Because the system, when he was doing that with the Outlook application, and there's nothing wrong with Outlook, it's great, but if you really want to go deeper with management of customer needs, it was taking way too much time, and it was very isolated. It was only him and his information. He had a staff of 15 people. Do you think that they might have talked to the same customer, and wouldn't it have been nice to see it all centralized? I see a lot of head nods. I know I'm speaking things that are just common sense, but you'd be surprised. You get so busy with business, sometimes you don't always see that maybe it's best that now it's time to take it up to the next level for that customer service. Back to this. Here's another thing that I love about my contact management system, and I personally use ACT in my own company. I do work in other contact management systems, but I like the way ACT is so flexible. It's just, you have your preferences. There's nothing wrong with the other ones, it's just I started just using this one and really liking it. Here's another example, and this is why people think I have this amazing memory, and I just blame it on my database, because this happened about 5 or 6 years ago, and I just closed, or I just had finished a project for a new business owner that moved into the area. He came in from California. It was great. So beautiful company, very profitable, great idea. It was a lot of fun to work with him. He turned to me and goes, well, I just bought a house. This was the conversation I was having with him. This is why I like this contact management tracking environment. He was talking to me one day because we went out to lunch. We were finishing up the project. And he says, I just bought a house. And I said, oh, well, that's great. And he goes, no, the yard looks horrible. And he was lamenting about why the yard looked so bad. And this was roughly October. Okay. So we were talking, he goes, he says, I've got to find a way to make this yard look so much better in the spring. I just don't even know what to do. And he was just going on and on about it. I said, well, all right, I understand. So anyways, I was driving down Lindale, and I went by Lindale Garden Center, and they had a 60% off shrubs in March. I don't know why, but they had this amazing, amazing sale. It was March or April, in the springtime. Fantastic sale. And I thought, there's this customer that I was working with that needed landscaping. I couldn't remember, but I went into my database and I did a keyword search on gardening or yard work, and sure enough, the customer's name came up. What I did was I called him, left him a message. I didn't even talk to him per se, just left him a message about the information about Lindale with the whole sale thing. I think it's on for a week. Just thought about you and just wanted to make sure you knew this. He immediately called me up the next day because he was out. He thanked me profusely. He was blown away that I remembered. I didn't really remember. My database did. And he then referred me to 4 more businesses because he was so impressed on my follow-up and my tracking environment. That's what your systems can do for you. And that's how, I'm not saying it's all about the Benjamin or making that dollar, but in the same sense, you're offering value and you're making your clients feel valued, that they matter to you. And they will be loyal to you forever if they feel they're made of value. What I appreciate about this slide, and this one impressed me, and this was about 2 years ago. I actually got an email from PetSmart, and I have my little Tetra fish in my fish tank in my office. I needed to go buy another fish because one passed away, obviously. So I went in, and they said, well, do you want to be part of our, would you like to add your name to an email list? I'm like, sure, whatever. So I did. This came out the next day, and now this is just a piece of the email. But not only did they send me an update about general tips about a fish, but they sent me specific tips about tetras. That blew my mind. And then I ended up getting a thank you note from the store thanking me for my purchase 2 days later. That was PetSmart. I was pretty impressed with that. Again, I now shop there all the time for my fish supplies. I'm not going to go anywhere else. I was so excited about the whole thing. It's all about how you want to reach and make your clients feel of value. It really is just such a big deal on that front. And I know I keep driving the same topic home, but it really is common sense, but it really will lift you and make you more than your competitor because you're the one that makes the person feel of value. What I'd like you to do is in the bag that I was greeting everybody that came in, and there is a 45-day automatic drip campaign. Now, this is just an example, but I've had people over the years, I keep handing this out at different events that I speak at, and they say, this really works. Well, yeah, that's why I put it in the bag. Because when you're working with a contact management system or a system that can be integrated, you want your online e-marketing to be also automated. You want to do more with less, right? You don't want to sit and send that email out, handwrite it, and keep worrying about when it's going to be launched or pushed out to your client base.
What's a drip campaign?
A drip campaign. Thank you for asking. Again, I'm so used to terms. Drip campaign is basically you are consistently sending out messaging on a scheduled time approach. So like for instance, this drip campaign is a 10-step piece, and I literally lay out your touch points saying your first invitation email would go out 40 to 5 days before the event. Your second invite, obviously omitting the people that have registered. You don't want to send out the invite again to that person. So then 30 days later, to the people that have yet to register. Then I put in a direct mail piece because, again, mixing up forms of how you reach your customers, that's 25 days. Then a call list to the unregistered so that you can generate an actual list of people that have not responded to the the direct mail or the 2 emails prior. They might not be getting your information for some reason. That's why I generate a call list to look up the people that have had no response to you, and you get on the phone. And you call to say, are you aware of the event that's coming up? We really would love it if you could attend. As you can see, you're not really spending that much time, and actually the 1 and 2 are already automated, so you already wrote them up and they're already launched. You don't have to think about it. The direct mail piece, you just have to upload your list and get it to your printer. The call list, you can easily just run and take a look at what's going on in your system and generate this list to make your calls. Now your step 5 is your 3rd invitation email, again automated. 4th and 5th are both automated. Now you're generating a call list to say, okay, now I want to call the registered people 2 days before to make sure they're aware of the event. So, because you want high attendance. You don't want people to forget about you. Then you end up having a post-show or post-event survey because you want the feedback immediately after they've attended your event because you want to know how are you going to make this better. You also, it's a great touch point or a point for them to give any information back to you about something that might have happened at the event or questions they might have about your services, etc. It's a nice touch point. And then also, you send out an email, automated, sorry, we missed you, to the people that didn't show up, that might have registered, or the people that didn't register that they want to come back for the next one. Do you see how you're constantly reaching back out and making sure people are aware of you? And this is all coming out of your database, working with your online marketing. So, like I said, here's your ACT software, contact management, as your center point. Think of a hub-spoke environment. Things start feeding off. Like Outlook, for instance, integrates with ACT. So when you send an email out, it automatically writes to the history tab of that contact record. So you can actually see the relationship of all the emails. So you don't have all those folders in your Outlook anymore. It just writes into the database. Accounting. This integrates directly with QuickBooks. So you can actually have a running total on who owes what money. This is extremely valuable, especially when you've got salespeople making deals with existing customers. If they owe you money, do they really qualify for getting this special discount rate on that next promotion? Your inventory, this also can integrate with inventory so that you know what's actually available, your widgets that you're selling, so that you don't run out or you're not over-promising and under-delivering. Project management, if you're more of a service industry, this can actually help you define and stay on task for deadlines that are going on with your customers' projects. Direct mail, again, those call to actions. I really recommend that when you do get a phone call, how many of you ask, how did you hear of me when you get a phone call on the phone? And then what do you do with that information? Are you tracking the ROI? Are you realizing how much money you're earning from your external sources of advertising? Are any of you tracking ROI on existing customer referrals and who your top 10 customers are that refer you to everybody? Are you treating them really well? Mobile marketing, same thing. If there's call to actions or things that they can do, this information can feed into your contact system. And again, we've already talked about the website quite a bit. A lot of information. We can actually have survey form data that if someone says, I want information from you, they can fill out a form like we all do online, but that can actually feed directly into their database. You don't retype it. And actually the system can set up an automatic email response and also can put an alert or your activity on your calendar so that you need to call back in 24 hours. It can remind you to do these things. And then last but not least, obviously the email marketing. We just went over the drip campaign. Now I know this is a lot. This is a lot about the system tracking, and yeah, I'm a bit of a data geek, I know, but this is where companies really, really shine and exceed when they look at their actual data and know what to do with it and know how to make money with it. So I appreciate all this. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been a pleasure.